Hi, Sarah. And what sign are you again, Sarah?
I'm an Aquarius.
Aquarius. Okay, so if you show up in the spread, you might show up as one of the sword characters. So let's shuffle the cards. Let's start from the beginning. And yeah, for the sake of this, Sarah, if you can lay it out. So when I'm saying the bottom, I mean closest to me on the screen. I guess to your left.
Closest to the camera.
Closest to the camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just got to remember that the camera.
Okay.
Yeah, is their eye. Yeah, your eye.
Great. So first one in the center, closest to me, a little bit further up, please. Yep, that's it. And then to the left of that, just above it. Sorry, above it, straight above it. We've got Malkut, Hassad. Hold off just to the left above that one, please.
To the right of center.
To the left of center. I normally go that.
You see, it's your client's right. You're not, Kate, you're speaking from where you are. Please don't do that. Speak from where they are. So it's their right.
So from where you are to the right. It's kind of interesting because she's on the side of it. So I'm talking about the center line.
Yeah, it's still her right. So
okay, so to
right
your
now. Next one is to your left of center.
Now to your left of center. Okay, and then in the center above that, please. And then to your right of center. And then to the left of center, and then above to the right again, please, and then to the left, and then one in the center at the top.
Gotcha.
And we're going to have one, I'd like it crossed in the, center there. Okay.
From Rebecca to everybody, never read reversed cards. It's rubbish. There's an 8 of Wands, which is reversed.
Sorry. Can you turn the 8 of Wands? Yep. Can you turn that up the right way? Thank you. So there seems to be a bit of change.
Pardon?
In Malkut there, I'm seeing like the change with the knight there.
No, look at the whole thing, please. First, look at the whole thing first, and then we'll break it up after you've had a really good go. It's really sort of a bit on the simple side.
Okay, we've got sort of center in the heart.
For the first thing I'd like you to do, Kate, is ignore the page and the king. Okay, so if you look at the
ignore the face cards.
Knight of Wands, Knight of Pentacles, four of Wands in the middle, the 3 of Pentacles over in the sphere of Hood, the Chariot card and the card opposite that. Just have a look at all them and get a feel for what the person, and it may not be the person you're reading for, remember that, but get a feel for what they're actually doing, because I know what they're doing.
I feel like they're in discussions about a project that they're working on. They're sort of
no, forget the word project. There. What are they doing?
Like marriage?
No, not at all.
We've got a lot of the notes there. We're getting things in order. We're discussing. We're getting things in order, and we're maybe having to make a decision, change direction. No.
Directions.
What about?
I'm only just going to say no to the things that you've just missed.
Good. Do please say no. No, now it's not reading for me. She's just like going nuts. I just see like. I sort of see this kind of sense of working on something. I'm seeing like we're working on something. There's been some financial challenges.
I know, but working on something doesn't say anything, Kate.
Well, what are we working on? Well, that's
the festival. They're getting
the festival card.
In an outdoor festival.
Do you think it's that literal as a festival?
Yes.
Okay. So we've got it. We're working on a festival. We're planning.
Because without mentioning the 3 of Pentacles, without mentioning the Knight of Pentacles, without mentioning the Knight of Wands, without mentioning the 4 of Wands, you don't need to do that. You look at the whole thing and you see them getting prepared to be on a festival circuit or to present their wares at a festival circuit.
Yeah.
Simple.
Can definitely see that. But would you say? Because I guess because festival is something I relate to. Do you always?
Doesn't matter what you relate to. Doesn't matter. You're not present, Kate. Stop.
I know. Okay.
Just forget about what you do.
Yeah.
This is somebody else's life completely. Okay.
Yeah. So they're discussing a kind of a festival or an event that they're going to work on.
But the discussions are really interesting because the discussion. We'll go back. Okay. Let's wait a moment. Let's just back up to the planetary associations.
Yep.
Sphere of Malkut is the Earth, the Earth that we live in. Earth that we live with. So there's a journey there. There's travel there. Okay. Yesod is the sphere. This person could very well be pregnant, by the way.
With the Page of Cups there. Okay.
Yeah. The Knight of Pentacles, they've got a lot. This is the sphere of Venus. Venus is love, sexuality, art, creativity, self-expression, vavavoomness, eroticism, fecundity, fertility. Okay, so without even looking at the card that's there, let's be aware of that. If we move across to Hood, we're looking at Mercury, which is long and short journeys, the ability to communicate, the capacity to travel if necessary, anything that's associated with passports, anything that's associated also in here with any vehicle that moves from place to place. For example, if you had a page of that Knight of Pentacles in this sphere of Hood, that'd be your caravan.
Right.
That'd be your bus, because it's a big vehicle. Okay, it's very different because it falls in the sphere of Netzach, which has got to do with all that sexuality and beautiful products even will sit in that project. The central theme is self. Who am I? Who am I? What am I doing? How am I being? What am I expressing? What am I showing? Because the planetary association is sun, and sun is self. We'll get onto the body in a minute, but that's the center of the self. This person, well, you can see where they're going. Now, let's have a look over there with the sphere of Gevura, which is associated with the planet of Mars.
Yep.
And that's their family or their community. That's a subtle little, which is quite obvious to this. It also will tell you that they're not going far and that they do have restraints associated with community and family that they will take into consideration. Let's move across to Chesed.
Yep.
Which is Jupiter.
Jupiter, yep.
No fail. Let's have a look up into the sphere of Saturn, which is Binah. Saturn defines it shows you your limitations. It presents you with a limitation or perceived limitation. Even mathematically, a limitation is a point that you never actually get to. So it's a perceived or a consensus of limitation. It's also associated with orthodoxy, government, institutions, the restraining factors. It can represent prisons. It can also represent time, or long time. It can actually represent chronological years. Of course, if you move across to the sphere of Uranus, that's got to do with Eight of Wands. Is really straightforward. You're dealing in here with technology, what's happening on a technological level, what's happening with electricity. I mean, for example, if I can just take a moment to backtrack, if there's going to be a festival and there's no electricity set up, or there's no power poles, or there's no IT, and the IT is not good enough, that Eight of Wands didn't have the capacity to be set up for electricity, etc., then there would be a problem. Okay. Now, the key in this particular instance, which is Pluto, it may be very, very deep, and it's very deep. This is my gut saying, I don't want to be poor.
Yeah.
And therein alone is your raison d'etre for the whole experience.
Is the concern around money?
No, I didn't say that. There's not a concern around money. This is a reflection that Pluto is so deep. This is the sphere of art, which is a gateway or a doorway, and it's not something that's known. But it can be simply, it's that little taste of fear, perhaps. The fear of a lack of money, fear of poverty. So that the driving force of all of this map that's in front of you is what this person is going to do. With that, almost in their limbic brain, that Five of Pentacles, driving them to take the steps. And it would be a person of great courage, because of course they're getting organised with what they're not organised with before, which is how to do this. So in Malkut, when you see the Knight of Wands there, which is really hard to take it all to pieces in singular cards, but that is the travel. So we're getting their vehicle sorted out and set up, but they are traveling within their local environment. Now, how do you know that?
Is that to do with the swords? Because we're not going far. We're there's a bit of restriction. I mean, sorry, the Nine of Swords.
Yeah, just call it the sphere of Gevura.
Sphere of Gevura, when we're looking there in Mars, and that's the action planet, and we can see that we're restricted there, so the movement is limited.
And family and community.
Okay. So therefore it restricts you, which is not necessarily good or bad. It just means that you're limited to a certain area.
Absolutely. Now, I do at this stage want to look at the King of Cups and the Page of Cups, and just without going into too much detail, the person concerned is very focused on their child, and whether that child is born or not doesn't matter to you. The focus of all of their drive into the festival circuit or the market circuit is, I want my kid fed.
Okay.
And as a mama, I know what that feels like. You know, like I'll turn up in Victoria for the first time and go to the markets because I've got 3 kids. I want my kids fed. And that's the bottom line.
Is that the relationship there between the 9 of Pentacles and the 5 of Pentacles? You know, when we're looking at...
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No, the relationship there is the Page of Cups. Sometimes with an individual, see where Yesod is, that's... It's interesting because we think with our brains, but we don't. We actually think with our bellies. Okay, so that my response to a child that I love, for example, happens in my body. I don't think about it. So that position, this is a tricky one to get hold of, Kate, but it's a very, very excellent spread to be able to grab that. You don't even need to mention each of those individual cards. What I'm mentioning very clearly is the concept of feeding my family and making certain that my family is well fed. And yes, they're enjoying themselves with that 4 of Wands. Of course they are. But the preliminary, I would look more at the triangle. And the triangle goes 3 of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, Knight of Wands. That's my first triangle. Or lines. Or work down your pillar of severity, which is of course the one that's on our metaphorical left. Work down the pillar of mercy, which is on your metaphorical right. Your middle pillar is a different thing altogether. This is the deeper aspect of Kabbalah, which we haven't gone into in this workshop, which is a different story. But you have got Boaz and Joachim, because you'll see both of those on the High Priestess or the Seer card, and that's the left and right pillars. Anytime you've got, for example, the Chariot card, you've got the Boaz and Joachim in the 2 Sphinxes to the front. Those, and you've got the middle pillar. Just be very aware that those triplicities are going to come in a lot of cards. You've even got the 3 of Pentacles, haven't you? And the 3 of Pentacles is really interesting because even in Masonic tradition, the capstone is considered to be the most powerful aspect of any building. So if you're building a bridge or an arch, or in churches, for example, they build all these huge architraves and these, or even a dome. With a dome, it's what's in the very center at the top of the building that's considered the secret capstone. And that's also associated with the whole Magdalene legacies and Templar legacies and so on and so forth. But that's not for here. But here, look at your triangles and their consideration of their family. And also, there was a mention earlier about working from home or working from markets.
Yep.
Right, exactly what
there it is. Yeah, working, getting everything in order, getting your setup in place and grounded, and then being able to move, but you won't move far. It might be local markets, local festivals.
Well, I don't do might, but the 3 of Pentacles is very clear. What the person concerned is doing is finding out where they can go and where they can work.
There's discussions. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking to market holders, stall holders, festivals.
Collaboration.
About getting their licenses, making certain they have their insurance, etc. But it's quite maternal, and that doesn't matter what the gender of the person is. Their first consideration is family and making certain that they don't fall out of money.
That's the emotional concern. Yeah. And what
again, the difficulty here is, Kate, that you've added emotional concern. Why did you put emotional?
Well, because it's in the moon. Because you've got
no. You see, sorry to interrupt you.
No, please.
Nothing to indicate emotional concern. Why add the word emotional to concern? If a person's concerned, they're concerned. Okay. What I want you to do right now. Forget the concept of emotional, physical, spiritual, intellectual. Can you throw them away? There's no parts to a person. It's just the person. If they're concerned, they're concerned. It's not an emotional concern. Okay, because emotion means that which goes in, that which goes out. And the word emotion is based on the word motion with an interactive E in the beginning of it. Okay, get into taking your words to pieces as well, so that you're making sure you don't use those old-fashioned, unfortunate terminology of splitting a person into 4. Okay, that splitting a person into 4 unfortunately, it does go with almost all tarot books. It says emotional, physical, spiritual, and intellectual, as if in some way that's not the person. But we've got to define one in difference to the other. That's not true. And it's in some way, it's another one of those segmenting or sectioning or partitioning up of a person or a culture or a society into the smallest increments, which in this particular case needs to be gone. One of the beauties of this way of teaching is that all of those things go. We had to think emotional, physical, spiritual, and intellectual to do with it, with pentacles and cups and swords and wands, and it just is so destructive. Yeah, to partition a person. My eye moves from the Page of Cups to the King of Cups. And that's my indication, and it's particularly with the sword sitting in the sphere of Gevera, and the Five of Pentacles, that's a particular compassion of a person who's focused on family and on making certain that the people that they care about are fed. And that's why they're doing this. It's also, they may want to do it anyway, which it could be any one of you wanting to go read tarot in the markets, any one of you wanting to go read tarot at the festival, okay? You do need to take into consideration family and family issues. Yes? And at the same time, with that Knight of Pentacles, it says you're quite capable of doing it. It's going to be done. The person that this is for, as an individual, by being so organised and so proactive with the preparation for being able to work in a public space, is they are showing their child, living or even unborn, doesn't matter. They're getting themselves in a position where they are not, for example, mum who stays at home and cooks the dinner. Mum works. That's what mum does. Papa works. That's what Papa does, okay? And always is the understanding that children need to know or watch or observe and understand that. And I think it's a very beautiful thing when a child is able to be in a position of interacting with a person. So it's part of the child's ethic, observing and understanding. So there's no need to mention the Page of Cups and the King of Cups. I mean, there's nothing to say don't. But it really doesn't matter because, yes, it's consciousness. So now, if we can look at this, what we're looking at in this particular instance is the human body.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm interested to see how you...
There is nothing in this spread whatsoever to indicate anything to do with health. The only thing to do with the human body is the Page and the King of Cups. So there's this continuum of connection to a water sign person, Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio, or a person to whom that your client loves. That's the consideration, because also when we look in this instance I do look at this as a body. So the Knight of Wands is the feet,
Yep.
the shins, and the knees, and the quadriceps, and the hamstrings.
So they feel strong.
It's not even mentioned in this. I'm just going to give you the information. There's nothing to do with physical body in this.
Okay. And why would you know that? Like,
This is in QOF, QOPH. Back of consciousness is an awareness that I would also be perhaps looking for anything that was health related. So within the first second of laying out that spread, I'm going to know whether there's a health related issue, and there isn't one. Okay. Nothing to do with their physicality. So we're just changing the subject for the sake of this, which is great. So the sphere of Malkut is feet, shins, calves, knees, quadriceps, hamstrings. Okay. Where the Page of Cups falls, which is Yesud, is gluteus maximus, genitals, colon, lower gut. Now, there's no absolute certainty as to whether you are looking at a mirror image or whether you are doing transference. You'll know on the day. So if I'm looking at a mirror image, that the sphere of Hood is associated with the left hip.
Yep.
And that'll include that all the organs around the left hip would include the sciatic nerve. Okay, and the same, the right hip and up under the right rib cage is associated with Netzach. When I'm looking at the Tiferet, now this is where it gets interesting. It's the whole of your internal organs, your heart, your lungs, the stomach, the pancreas. So if you haven't got a good hold on anatomy, please get hold of it. That also will include aspects of the spine. And also, for example, if we go a little bit lower to where the Page of Cups is in the sphere of Yesod, if you've got a Ten of Swords there, that can very often be a sciatic dysfunction. Because we're working with the lower back and where the nerves at the base of the spine spread out through the legs. Okay, it's really good to have a look at the images of the nervous system through of a human body, because that'll be a benefit to you as well. So when you're looking at the Chariot and when you're looking at Chesed and Gevurah, you're looking again still at the center of the body, but you're also including the hands, the forearms, the elbows, your upper arms.
Would we be diaphragm there, or like?
Oh, that's in the middle of your body, of course. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
All that. The lungs, the diaphragm, or your kidneys are included in that area. And the kidneys will also show up as Gevurah in Chesed, by the way, because they're two separate aspects of the body. So they will show up as this kidney dysfunction there. With the art, which is ruled by Pluto, the throat, the back of the neck, all that area, the atlas bone, can include the shoulders, but that's also going to be Binah and Chokmah are included in the shoulders and the back of the neck, and also this area is going to include teeth, and that'll include things like the ears, because your TMJ is going to turn up there. If a person's got a problem with TMJ, that'll turn up to do with where they're in Binah or in Chokmah. So it's just that area of the head, and also the ears. Sometimes the shoulders will sit in those areas as well. So if I've got a tower sitting in one of those areas, if there's health issues other places, and it's the tower sitting in Binah or the tower sitting in Chokmah, I'm automatically going to look towards that person's head or their shoulders. And I've seen people's frozen shoulders right there, in those two. Keter is both Kof and Resh. Both Kof is associated with the moon card, and Resh, I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, it's got to do with the sun card. These are letters we haven't even got into. Don't worry, I can't cover everything that's associated with this in 10 weeks. But with Kof and Resh is the non-conscious. I don't like the term unconscious, because it's not unconscious. It's just, we get a background feeling. The softer consciousness, the unrealized consciousness is it's like the gut. It's the same thing. The Resh is the front of consciousness, so it's you very aware. It's there up in front. Affect the eyes. I wouldn't like to see, for example, a devil card in that sphere, because the person quite likely is going to get a brain tumor. Is that always? No. Again, it's going to depend on what's around it. But there will be indicators as to why there's a dysfunction there. Tarot is not going to make you guess. When the time comes, it's not going to make you guess. It'll just ask you to be able to see deeply enough. Yeah? The utilization of Resh and Kof. So they're the physiological aspects, and because this map in front of us with Sarah, whoever it happens to be in the whole room, because it could be anybody in the room here with us, that's why I'm mixing up the Page of Cups, which is down here, yeah, in this area of my body, with Resh Kof. The consciousness of head, or the idea of head, is that I'm thinking about this person, and then it may not mean that they're pregnant with this person, because there's no indication on that map of pregnancy. There's no indication of birth at all. So it's someone that they've got that affects their gut and affects their consciousness, and that's usually a family member or a loved one. And therefore there's no need to necessarily mention them, but just be aware of them. Okay, you will tell your client that they will be very aware of any influence on their family or family members. But at the very beginning, until you've probably done this for a few decades, it's not a good idea to give advice. To say you should and you shouldn't, you should, no, don't do that. Just tell them what it is. So this is a person, obviously, who's going to work in a festival or a market scenario, and will do so brilliantly because they're so organised. And that's the way I'd read that spread, just like that. Yep. I wouldn't worry about anything else.
Yep.
Coolidge. Questions? Any questions? Kate, Sarah.
Amazing. Nice job, check.
Okay, you're putting them away. When you finish putting them away, just close the cards off by giving them a shuffle, each time looking at what's in the bottom. Look what's down the bottom. Okay, wait until something comes up that you like. Always look. With every time you move the cards, look. I can't see your hand, so it's not helping. That's nothing.
Waiting.
Show me again. That's a nice one. What about that? Okay, close them off, stick them in the box. Let's swap it around so that you're going to work with Kate. And so, Ari, if you can put the spot on Kate.